Hi everyone. We're gonna give it just another, 2, 3 minutes just to see if anybody else shows up. I just want to give you guys a heads up. Everyone should be able to see my screen by now, and I've sent out PIN numbers. So if you want to, speak also and interact, you can either use a PIN number or you can use the chat box down below in the GoToMeeting software. You can chat through that. I'll also be taking questions at the end. So today, basically, what we'll be going over is I'm taking some notes here. Basically, we'll be going over consistent management and optimization to get maximum success from your email marketing. We'll go through improving open rates, which is huge, revising call to actions, and then we'll go into some of the email marketing, the marketing terms that come up in email marketing that I know can be somewhat confusing. Not every business owner knows what A/B testing is or alt text, and there's a lot of kind of technical terms that I've provided answers for and put on the website also. We'll go over some of those. Grab a glass of water and we'll wait just another moment to see if anybody else shows up. Okay, so let's get started here. My name is Justin Murray. I'm an email marketing consultant for CMTC. I also work with a lot of e-commerce stores with email marketing, analytics, paid advertising, SEO, you name it. Today we'll be going over subject lines primarily. We'll go over improving your open rates by using subject lines. So some interesting facts here. So approximately 35% of email recipients open emails based on the subject line alone. So having a good subject line and consistently testing and updating your subject line is an important part of continually improving your email marketing campaign. So who cares to read more if your subject line is lacking any quality? If it's a subject line that seems spammy or something you don't want to read, you're never going to click on it and open it. You're just going to delete that email along with all the other junk ones you're clicking on. So with the subject line, you want to keep it engaging, short and personalized. Avoid deceptive subject lines, although I have seen some jokes, some joke type where it's like you say something, and then give them something else unexpected, as long as it's funny and deceptive. But if it's deceptive where what you're talking about actually doesn't exist in that email copy, then that's, deceptive, and that doesn't make sense. Or if you tell them there's a promo code and there's no promo code inside, you have to go to the website, you don't want to deceive people because they'll unsubscribe and not, respect your brand anymore. You want to spread love and knowledge, not negativity or sales pressure. A lot of people just jump in with a sales pressure. 10% off this, buy this today, new product. You really want to mix in that content marketing. The content marketing is a huge part of that. So along with that, with MailChimp, which we recommend, when it comes to email marketing, the best subject lines tell what's inside and the worst subject lines sell what's inside. So that's how MailChimp says it. And let me go over to their best practices page right here. So their best practices, they go along all sorts of, oh, let me mute somebody. Somebody's being a little bit noisy. I want to make sure that we don't get any feedback here. Grab this. Okay. So anyways, so with this, they have the subject line researcher built into MailChimp. And what this will do will make sure that your subject lines are correct and they actually work proper. Let's watch their quick video. They sum it up real quick in less than a minute here, about a minute.
When setting up your campaign, MailChimp can help you figure out the best subject line to use. Engagement is an important factor in deciding whether your emails go to the inbox or spam folder. Writing informative, clear, and compelling subject lines can increase engagement and help improve future delivery to your subscribers' inboxes. Using the Subject Line Researcher and the recent subject line performance links on the setup step, you'll be able to examine and determine the best subject line for your campaign. To access these, navigate to the setup step of the campaign builder, click on the link just below the email subject field that reads, "How do I write a good subject line?" A window will pop up with links to both the Subject Line Researcher and your recent subject line performances. When you click the Subject Line Researcher, you'll type in your subject line, then click Search. This will compare your subject line to all the subject lines ever used in the MailChimp application. Your subject line will be given a star rating, from 1 being the lowest to 5 being the highest, depending on how well it compares to past campaigns. Below that, you will also be able to see how well your recent subject lines have performed. Clicking the Recent Subject Line Performance link will drop down a list of your 4 most recent campaign subject lines and show you.
Let me pause it right here. Right here, using the recent subject line performance, this is a good way to make sure you're not repeating the same stuff. If you repeat the same subject line over and over again, you know, it doesn't necessarily work out all the time. It's good to vary it a little bit. So make sure you keep the variation, like, even if it's just changing a word or two. People don't like that consistency all the time.
The open percentage from your reports to determine which subjects worked and which could be tweaked a little to garner the most opens for your campaigns.
Cool. So quick, easy tool to use. It's super helpful. As far as my clients, I don't use anything that's below 4 stars. Only 4 and 5 stars is the only subject lines I'll actually run in a campaign. And let me show you how it works real quick. So this is exactly what she was showing us in the video. I'm going to grab a couple just test words, test phrases that I'd use in a subject line. So these, oh, they're still saved in here. So this subject line researcher, I put in a couple phrases here. So we've got, scroll down here, make this larger. So I've got new product, latest news, product news, and industry news. Probably a couple common phrases that you'd use as manufacturers to inform your customers or the other businesses you work with about new stuff or news in the industry or news about your products. So if I search this, and it's always good to run a couple. In the example, she only ran one word once. So you can run multiple and see, you know, how that actually works, as long as it's not above 3 phrases for each one. And then if you go fewer terms, you get broader results. You'll get more results. So here, I can see immediately new product announcement. That's a good one to go with. If I go down a little bit here, I can see brand new products, not so good. That's just kind of, it's a strange English, it's a strange phrase as far as just using the brand new products. It's more like new products from our brand would make sense. That might even actually perform better. But new product announcement seems a lot more natural. People like to hear the announcement. You know, announcement is more exciting than, you know, brand new. It's very bland and strange. So I see how that, you can kind of see logically. You gotta kind of put yourself in the eyes of an email recipient and say, okay, if I were to receive this email, would I like this subject line? Would that make sense to me? And then you can see down here, like, more new products. So somebody used more new products from, you know, CMTC. So that was pretty lame and not really engaging, so that got a really, really low star rating and probably a very low open rate. So use this tool. It's here to help you. It's awesome. It's really one of the best tips you can, one of the best tools you can use as far as increasing your open rate. So I recommend using that, testing out multiples, and then do this every month. It's got to be a continual process to make sure that you're coming up with good subject lines. Of course, you can subscribe to your competitors' email marketing lists also and see what they're using for their subject lines. And if they're a huge brand, like Nike or Sony and stuff like that, they have a team of marketers, so you can kind of take a little bit more weight to the larger brands, because they're probably paying somebody, a firm, to do their email marketing for them, or they have a staff in-house. So they do a lot of testing every month. They have people actually doing that every month. So use this and look at the slight variations and how they can affect your campaign. So besides that, we can actually look at this comparison too that MailChimp has done. So MailChimp has these comparisons here. Basically, they analyzed more than 40 million emails sent from customers through MailChimp and singled out the ones with the highest and lowest open rates. They pulled 20 from each pile and put their subject lines in this side-by-side comparison. The highest open rates were in a range of 60 to 87%, which is insanely high, while the lowest performers fell in the dismal 1 to 14%. So you don't want to be in the 1 to 14%. Commonly, I see a lot of my clients getting 20 to 30% open rates. I do a lot of e-commerce, which might be a little bit different from the business-to-business world. So moving down this list a little bit, you can kind of see the people who had the best, they actually had merge tags here. And the best performing merge tag, their company name. So I on the company date, I on the CMTC updates, CMTC sales and marketing newsletter. So you can see those actually, it makes it more, it relates to the company that's sending it to them. It makes it a little bit more professional, especially if you have a good company name. Something you can't change, but if you don't like your company name, you might not want to include it. This one is interesting. They included the company name merge tag, where it just logically replaces it with the company name. Then they also have the first name. This is a first name. It replaces it with the recipient's first name if you have that data. If you had on your email subscribe list, your email subscribe form, if you have the first name and the last name, then you have the opportunity to use those merge tags in the subject line. So this will say CMTC newsletter January 26. And if I was a recipient they have that my information, it would say newsletter January 26, Justin Murray. So it creates that personal aspect. They know my full name, so I'm like, wait a second, who is this that knows my full name? And I end up clicking on that and opening it and saying, oh, okay, so I do like this company. They do have my first name. I remember signing up now. The worst ones. Let's look at some of the worst ones. So the worst open rates, we're looking at 1 to 14%, and it's last-minute gift. We have the answer. Really strange, really kind of cheesy. We have the answer. Yeah, it's very strange. Valentine's, shop early and save 10%. Preferably don't do percentages and percentage discounts. They've shown to get some of the lowest open rates out there. And why that is it's for a number of reasons, but they're used for spammy practices for a very long time, so people will just see them as kind of like spammy emails. The only time you really want to use percentages is if when they sign up for your email list, you have a sign up now for a 5% promo code. So that would make sense. The email then that they get has, here's your 10% off promo code. So that would make sense. It's relative. It's going to get a high open rate because they're expecting it. So if they expect that discount, that makes sense. So moving down a little bit, we can see Valentine's Day salon and spa specials, gift certificates. Here they asked a question, but this was a marketing one too. It makes sense, but marketing ones don't necessarily get high open rates because a lot of spammy ones. This is very abstract from your marketing partner. It's so abstract and doesn't really detail anything about the company it's coming from or the person it's going to. So yeah, this could be seen as spammy. And how many spam emails or spam calls do you get from marketers? Using this, I understand why this didn't perform well. And here's a couple where they did the merge tag, but the text they used along with the merge tag just didn't work out. So they put their company name, Pioneers, and Banana Technology. That's just them bragging. Instead, what might have worked better is why company name, why CMTC are pioneers in manufacturing consulting. That maybe would make more sense than something like this, where it's just kind of bland and it just seems like bragging. It really does. And then this one, company home, so CMTC moves you home for the holidays. So yeah, that's kind of cheesy too. Moves you home. It's strange language. So you can kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And if you have the ability to use the merge tags, if you have first name, last names, of course you can use your company name if you feel comfortable for that. And if the people are comfortable with your company name. If people know your product more than your company name, then maybe you wouldn't want to use the company name merge tag. So to move on from that, let's bring up some of my documentation here. So localization helps. For instance, if you segment your San Diego subscribers instead of the latest widget product news, you could instead say exclusive widget product news for San Diego. So it's exclusive for San Diego or for San Diego business owners. Maybe I'd add. It's a little bit longer, which is you don't necessarily want longer. But if it's more targeted, you can use longer subject lines. You can see how it's more personal, though, and it makes more sense. It seems like, okay, they're a San Diego business. They know I'm in San Diego. People want to find out why the companies know stuff about them, too, so that kind of increases the click-through rates on that. So besides that, we talked about we went through the test. So some terms you want to never use. You never want to use help if you can help it. Help is seen as spammy. It gets caught in spam filters. It doesn't really help your open rates. We talked about the percentage offs. We don't want to use percentage offs unless they're expecting it. And you want to talk about reminders unless it's an appointment reminder or something along those lines. Reminders seen very low open rates, so not using these is recommended. Don't use the same subject line every month. We've seen it's shown an increase in the drop in open rates, so you'll get less open rates if you actually use the same one, being repetitive about it. And that's also, you can kind of take that with a grain of salt, where if they expect your weekly news report, then you kind of want to keep weekly news report in there. You can spice it up with a word or two, but you don't want to change that core if they're expecting it. So watch out for your expectations when people sign up for your list. So besides that, feel free to ask questions. An example, what's your dream adventure? If it can relate to your content. So if in your content you have the answer to that question, or the blog post that they click out to has the answer to that question, it makes sense to have that question in there. People want to answer the question. They want to find out the answer to the question. You've piqued people's interest with questions. That tends to work and tends to get higher subscribe rates. 50 characters or less, preferably, unless subscribers are highly targeted with advanced segmentations, for example, the localization segmentation. Besides that, we want to keep the message straightforward and avoid using splashy promotional phrases. Definitely do not use all capital letters, which can be seen as shouting and very spammy. You don't want to use exclamation marks in your subject lines. You don't want to be loud and in their face. Nobody likes that salesman who just yells at you and controls the conversation. You want to listen twice as much as you talk because you have twice as many ears, whatever that phrase is. It's the same here. You don't want to shout at people. Definitely not in all capitals, and definitely not with exclamation marks. And don't just use splashy promotional stuff. So along with that, there's two additional factors that are difficult to track but can have an big impact on your open rates. That's your list quality. So if your email list is people who signed up years ago, who you haven't sent out an email to in a couple of years, that's going to be generally a low quality list. And those people, it's going to be the open rates are going to be a lot lower for those people who haven't heard from you in a couple of years. It makes sense, right? And the frequency of how many times they've heard from you over the last couple of years. So if they get a monthly email from you and they expect it, cool. They're probably going to click on that if they're still subscribed after 6 months. But if it's let's say you send it on an email every 6 months, they may be less likely to click on your email because they haven't heard from you in 6 months. And that all depends on your subject line also. So let me unmute it real quick before I move on from this. Let me unmute everyone and see if anybody has any questions. Any questions here? Actually, judging from the people, I don't know if anybody here actually has a microphone. So, okay, I'm assuming no one has a microphone here. Yeah, I've got mute off. Okay, no worries. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box down here, or you can go on the website, the CMTC My Round Robin website, resource website, and we have the, let me show you, we have the Ask a Question section. So if you have any questions about subject lines, feel free to throw in an Ask a Question here. And an example, I also have a lot of documentation as far as helpful links. I've got the all the MailChimp support where you can find these same articles here. And now you know where to also find the subject line tester. So you go to click on the how do I write a good subject line, and now you're actually at there and you can test your subject lines. You should do this with each campaign. If you can do it, if you're sending out weekly campaigns, do it weekly. If you have to push it off to monthly, do it monthly. But at least a monthly task of improving your subject lines is a good call. So let's move on from subject lines. Let's go into revising your call to actions. So the call to action, it's your learn more, your shop now, your buy now. You gotta drive the people that are actually in your emails. So your call to action is the centerpiece of your marketing emails. Without a powerful push on this front, it's hard to convince the world to hit your landing pages and seal the deal, even if you offer the best products in the world. For brands that need a call to action boost, which in turn can pump up clicks and conversions, and a conversion is somebody going to your website from your email and actually calling you, or filling out a form submission, a contact us form submission, a free quote, a free estimate, whatever it may be. You want that conversion. And through Google Analytics, you should be able to track your form submissions. And there's stuff like callrail.com, and they actually do call tracking, where they'll give you they'll dynamically replace phone numbers on your website so it doesn't hurt your SEO and your consistent name, address, and phone number. But they'll actually allow you to track the phone calls and integrate it in your Google Analytics. So you can see how many people using that. You can see how many people actually went from my email marketing and then clicked on a call to action, went to this many pages on my website, and then ended up submitting a form on this page. And you can track all that, so you can track your return on investment if you give a conversion value. So it's getting a little bit more advanced, but make sure that your marketing team is setting up your conversion tracking, so that way you can actually see what call to actions are driving your conversions. So Chris Hexton, who works for Marketing Land, which is a huge player in the industry, they suggest that you spend more time thinking about the value and direction of this portion of your message, your call to action. Instead of writing click here, submit, or even the learn more is commonly used, use this precious space to engage your target consumer. Even if it's putting a personal touch in the CTA, like the viewer's name or some other information pulled from your contact list, Adding value in a clear, firm request for action can turn a passive, boring CTA into a bold, responsive offering. From here, Hexton also suggests repeating the CTA later in the email. While you don't want to go overboard with this idea, making another push in the middle or toward the end of the message is always an easy way to snag a few extra click-throughs. So let me show you an example of call to actions, like a live call to action. I just redesigned this one of my clients' websites, and this is they're a funder. They do startup funding, small business funding. So their primary call to action is an apply now. They want people to apply to get a loan, to get some kind of loan or advisory services. They do everything, equipment leasing, all sorts of stuff. But I've their primary call to action, then I have secondary call to action. Their primary, in case you haven't noticed, is apply. Apply now, apply now. You scroll down. This is where you can see initially when you get into an email marketing template or you get to a website like this, what you can see initially is called above the fold. And then when you want to scroll down, it's called a below the fold. So when people scroll down and they start learning about their services and stuff, I want to make sure they always have a call to action to get out. So their primary, I put another primary call to action, apply now, apply today. So then if you scroll down a little bit further, you can see here at the bottom, way below the above the fold, so they lose sight of this call to action. I made sure there's another call to action right here. So to have that consistent call to action, if you have a long email marketing template, putting another call to action at the bottom tends to work well. And then you can kind of vary the language too. I did the apply now, apply today, but it's got the same color, kind of green call to action button that contrasts. It contrasts all the blue and the white backgrounds. It really stands out. Your call to action should be a button that definitely stands out and contrasts the other colors and text around. You can see this is the brightest button in this whole area here. So using call to action variation and actually moving it down the page sometimes is a good call. So to go back here, I've got some good tips for call to actions. One call to action per email is preferable. So I gave them a secondary one here to view our solutions, but really this is a primary, and your primary should always be on the right hand side and towards the bottom right of the screen if possible. People's eyes tend to trail to the right. So having your call to action set up like that tends to work. Oh, let me see what happened here. Lost my document. See what happened to my notes here. Oh, they went too low. Here we go. So use time urgency. So I use like apply today, apply now instead of just apply in most places. Same with the shop. Use shop now instead of shop. Download today instead of download. Above the fold, in repetition of below the fold, we just spoke about that. Depending on the length of your email, you don't want it to be a call to action here, a call to action here, a call to action here. You want a call to action here, and then a call to action, over here. You want to kind of stagger that, so that way they always have it within their viewpoint. Make it stand out. Contrasting color. And short but sweet, 2 to 5 words. Don't do a whole sentence. A whole sentence is kind of weird and unnatural. Even 5 words is kind of pushing it. 2 to 4, 2 to 5, makes sense. So call to actions are really important. Make sure you're using them. Make sure that you actually you're testing them too. Look at your competitors as far as their call to actions, what they're using, especially the big competitors. So that's pretty much it for call to action tips. Let's move on to, or does anybody have any questions about call to action? Anyone? Okay, no worries. So let's move on a little bit. So terms can be confusing in email marketing. So don't be confused. I put this copy of the dictionary on the resource website here, so you can find it under helpful links and email marketing, the email marketing dictionary. And you can just use either the search bar up here if you don't know what a term is, or you can do a Control F and search something. So I can search call, or let me search, so copy. I search the word copy, and here's body copy. If I want to search subject, I can see it comes up with content filtering, talking about internet service providers evaluating subject lines. If you go down to the next one, envelope content, the portion of an email that's visible to subscribers before they opened it, aka the sender's name, the subject line, the from, all that stuff. And it also depends on who their email provider is. So besides that, there's pretty much everything, every kind of term you're going to encounter here, from testing stuff and conversion stuff to the SEO kind of usability stuff, alt text. So every image that you put in your email marketing templates, you want to make sure the text is coded in there's text in there, and alt text, and that's alternative text for people who have visual impairments. They may be able, they can't see the visual image, but their screen readers will actually audibly read them, the alt text. So that's important. GIFs, don't recommend GIFs. Animated GIFs are becoming somewhat popular nowadays. You got to think with mobile devices, GIFs tend to be really large, especially animated ones, tend to be really large file formats, so don't actually use those in your email marketing templates, or else they make it take forever to load in a mobile, the mobile devices. So if you have like 3G Wi-Fi, if you have a huge animated GIF, it's going to take forever to load in your email, and then people are gonna drop out without even loading. It's going to end up being a big blank spot in your email marketing template. So be cautious about those. Below the fold, we talked about that, best practices. So if you ever encounter anything in Constant Contact, wherever your email marketing provider is, you can't find a lot of information on it, feel free to go check this out, and let me know if there's anything you want added to here, or anything you can't find on here. Feel free to just ask a question. I'll make sure to add it or respond back to you. Besides that, there's testing. Testing is an important part of that most people don't dive into. It's scary. How should I test? How many people should I test? And really, there's two ways to do it here. There's a 50-50 split test. And this is exposing half your subscribers to one version of an email or landing page, and the other half of your subscribers to another version, and seeing which version performs better to inform future decisions. Also see A/B testing and 10-10-80 split test. So with this, an important part of your split testing, if you don't have your conversion tracking set up in your Google Analytics on your website, so you can actually see after they go to your email and they click on your call to action to go learn about your new product on your website, or they go to apply to one of your services, whatever it may be, if you can't track how they move around the website and where they went and whether they've submitted a form or not, then you're not really getting the full data view on return on investment. You want to see, okay, I'm spending 5-10 hours a week in my email marketing. I want to see if it's actually converting to money for me. It's converting to new customers and stuff. And so having that framework is important before you start 50-50 or 10-10-80 testing. But so you can do this with 100, 200 subscribers. You don't have to do this with your whole list. You can kind of test it on a small portion of subscribers. But the more data you have, the more useful it's going to be to you. And they say of one version of an email or a landing page. So why they say that is if you could send two versions of the same exact email, same images, same content, same everything, but the call to action button, maybe one goes to your product page and one goes to the contact us page. So you could actually, if you had conversion tracking set in there, you could see, okay, these people that went to the product page, 5% of them converted into a form submission, but if the people that we sent directly to the Contact Us page, 10% converted. So now why would I want to lose out on those conversions? Let's go with a higher converting, send everybody to the Contact Us page. You take away a step there. It's taking away a step, and maybe it would perform better. I'm not saying that's going to necessarily work for everybody, pointing them like that. Some people, their products are a little bit more advanced, and people want to learn more about them before contacting them about it. So you got to test. You got to test this stuff because it's going to be different for every brand. So that's just an example of a landing page text without changing much, anything but a link inside the website or inside the email marketing template to the website. A minor change can give you a lot of information as far as improving your actual conversion. So along with that, we have the 10-10-80 split test. So how this works, you expose 10% of your subscribers to one version of an email or landing page, and another 10% of your subscribers to another version, seeing which version performs better, and then exposing the remaining 80% of your subscribers to that winning version. So this is another way of doing it where this does work well. I do mostly the 50-50 split tests. This may work well if you have smaller email lists. It kind of depends. And it kind of depends on what you're testing also. If you have a small email list of a couple hundred people and you only expose 10% of that, it's not going to be a lot of data to actually go off of as far as seeing who converted or not. You're only going to see a small portion of actual people. Going off of what 10 or 20 people do is hard to say whether it's true compared to going off of what 50, 100 people do. It's a pretty huge increase. So be cautious when you get into your A and B and split testing. It's a little bit more advanced, and if you have questions about that, feel free to hit me up through the website, and we can try to work through your initial testing. And this is just a description of right here, general A and B testing, A/B testing. Exposing a portion of your subscribers to one version of an email landing page, another portion of subscribers to another version, seeing which version performs together. So we did the example of changing the landing page and the link on the call to action button. So another thing you could do is you could test images. So I could send some of my subscribers a copy of the email with just the My Round Robin logo, or I could send subscribers just a copy with the CMTC logo, and I could see which one is more reputable or comfortable in the subscriber's eyes. Probably would be CMTC if they were to send it out to the manufacturers, because you talk to CMTC all the time and you work with CMTC. While My Round Robin, my company, you probably haven't heard from all the time. So that's just an example of an image switch, which could testing A and B testing with an image switch and seeing which one actually performs better. You'd be amazed by that too. You change your image from a boring product image to somebody smiling using your product. You can see some much better click-through rates to the website and better conversion rates overall. So feel free to go through here manually and learn about stuff, or search through it and find whatever you need. And I'll be continually adding to this too. I'll continually improve this, and hopefully we'll get everything included eventually, and it'll be a good database for everybody to use. An example, in addition to that, we've got our FAQ here, all sorts of frequently asked questions, helpful links. As far as I get into links for your Google Analytics, I talked about the conversion tracking. You want to set up the conversion tracking there. Testing, you can test your website speed. So you change the link, you change the landing page link in your email copy to go to a different landing page, and maybe that landing page doesn't perform that well. So what I mean by not performing well is maybe it loads in 10 seconds. Have you ever waited around 10 seconds for a website to load? Because I don't. So there's tools like this where you can go and you can test individual pages of your website. So for example, my website here, I can test it and see exactly how many seconds it takes to load my website. So I can see here, it's loading a little bit slow for my taste right now, a little over 3 seconds. Your website should load for proper conversion to get as many people as possible converting and filling out forms or calling you. You want to be under 3 seconds for every landing page that you're sending people to. Creating the good email marketing template and subject line and everything, that's only half the battle. Once people get to your website, you've got to give them a great experience. You've got to be working on your email marketing and then also on your, where you're sending them from the email marketing. And you can test it from different areas. This tool is Pingdom. You can save tests and make it public. You can look over the history of fluctuations in your website, make sure that too many people aren't going to your website and slowing it down. You can test from different areas. If most of your clients are on the East Coast in New York, you can test your website speed from there. You can test it from the U.S. in Dallas, or you can test it from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So it's got some variation. That one was in the Netherlands. If I go and I test this in Dallas, it's probably going to be a lot faster because the company that hosts my website, they're, I think, located in Texas. I use the Liquid Web. Yeah, so you can see it's 1.6 seconds. So that's half the time, but I wasn't testing in Amsterdam. Truthfully, nobody wants to buy websites from me or marketing in Amsterdam, so this is okay with me. I'm loading in 1.6 seconds in Dallas, so I know it's likely that speed isn't going to be a problem with conversion to one of those form fills for my email marketing. But you want to go and you want to make sure that, let's say I send people my blog page. If I go to my blog page here, so my blog page has a lot more images on it. It's got a lot more content. It wasn't that significant with my website, but with some websites, you'll see like a 4-second difference in some landing pages. And that's because, images weren't optimized or there's extra coding on that page that slows things down. So make sure you're testing your landing page from your email marketing templates and your call to actions. And if you have any questions about that stuff, I can help you out with that too. And it shows you here what's loading my website slowly here, and you can kind of pick apart. Okay, is it just one image that's really slow? You can see the size of your images, kind of like analyze that stuff. And that also goes for your email marketing. You want to make sure that you're not sending huge images over your email marketing that's going to load slow and mobile devices, people with 3G and 4G. You got to think about that mobile experience. You make mobile-friendly email marketing templates through MailChimp here, and we spend all the time here. But then if your website, your landing page isn't mobile-friendly, if it doesn't work well on mobile, then you may possibly lose that conversion. Nobody likes to have to, can't click on your phone number in mobile devices to call you, or your contact form doesn't work well in an iPad or an iPhone, then that's going to just kill your conversion. And what's the point of pointing people, spending all this time on your email marketing if they're never going to convert when they go to your website? So be really cautious about that. And yeah, it's going to be a continual process to actually improve your template as well as your landing pages. So besides that, we've got a couple other things in here as far as continuing your campaigns. If we go over here, so I've got the anatomy of a 5-star email here. This is a really good PDF. Let's open it up real quick. This goes into some of the merge tags and stuff like that. And so this is HubSpot, and HubSpot has their own marketing analytics software and stuff. It's some pretty cool stuff they did here. Let me scroll down here. So let me go a little bit further here. Okay, cool. So they kind of picked apart the anatomy of a 5-star email. So we talked about the subject line a lot today, a clear, tentative, attention-grabbing email subject line. The second one, the from name, an actual person at the sender. So, mine would be, Justin from Iron Robin, or, Justin Murray. Or you could actually do another employee that you work with. So, for example, there's been tests that show that women's names convert better. So, and for example, if I use my graphic designer Sarah's name, Sarah at Kick and Knowledge or Sarah at My Round Robin, that may convert a little bit better than Justin or Justin Murray at My Round Robin. So you might want to test that out. Do the test of the variation of the from names and see if which one converts better, or I'm sorry, which one gets a better open rate. Besides that, company branding. You want to have your logo, preferably in high quality. You don't want any of your pictures pixelated or any other stuff unreadable in mobile devices. Some images can get scaled down, and then the text is unreadable in a mobile device on your image. Make sure that if you have text on your image or text in your logo, that it actually displays correctly, or else you might have to have a graphic designer tune that up for you. Personalized content. So they use first name and ask questions. This person probably inquired before about designing infographics, and they're in their infographic segment, so they're talking about personalizing the content. But using those merge tags, the first and last name merge tags are important. I like to use the first name. Last name I don't use all the time. It's people don't necessarily like that. I think last name or first name is always a good call though. Appropriate segment. Talked about that. I say we realize you don't have the time and resources to create these infographics. So they already know that this person already got segmented to, needs help with infographic segment. So they're segmenting via their product, via the client, the consumer intent. Their intent is to get help with the infographics. They're making sure to include that, covering that intent here. And then they're like, that's why you'll need this. Download the template. Here's a free template. And they're all just trying to set up that, that call to get them to convert, to use their HubSpot marketing services, to get them on the phone with a sales guy, or at least keep sending them the email so they can share it with their friends and share these templates around. And I'm sharing the template right now. You're all learning about HubSpot, and it's working for them. The value proposition in content, as far as, let's see here, that's would you like a free PowerPoint template to help you design infographics? Who doesn't want something free? And designing infographics is not easy. Let me tell you, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So that's really kind of hitting that pain point that they already know this person has. Obvious focus call to action. So their call to action is this kind of off red, which they don't really have anywhere else, and it contrasts the blue color they have everywhere. See the light blue background and logo and accents everywhere? It's this really stands out. It's also to the bottom right, where your eyes tend to scroll to the bottom right of a web page or email marketing template or screen, just because we read left to right. And then we also have a relevant image. So this image, is an image of an infographic. That makes sense. Same with this one right here. Social sharing buttons and links. The social sharing buttons up here. That may not be as important for all you manufacturers, depending if your social profiles are reputable. If your social profiles you point people to don't look great, they don't have good custom messages or any custom images on them, then you don't want to point people at a Facebook profile that has a stock cover image and no posts on it and no likes. That's not going to help the reputation of your company. But move on with that. A secondary call to action. So they have the, let's see here, the secondary text-based call to action here. Grab these free templates. It's hard to see down there. So if you don't want to click this big button here, and instead you're just a reader, you read the text like me. I read text before I tend to click on buttons. And if you want that, they have a text-based link where they just highlight it and put the link in there, which basically goes to the same place here, but it's just different. It's since it's such a short copy that you'll see probably all of this above the fold. It doesn't make sense to put another one of these buttons right here because that would just look weird design-wise. So that's probably why they did that. Possibly when you scroll down, to read all this, if you scroll down below here, you lose sight of this, so they have this here. And then, of course, a privacy policy. If you don't have a privacy policy on your website, you should. There's privacy policy generators out there, or you could have your lawyer or legal team take care of that. Generally, you can take the generators. You just want to read over it and make sure that it actually makes sense as far as what you actually do as far as people's privacy. And then the unsubscribe link. Don't hide these. People think it's a good call to hide the unsubscribe link. Like, yeah, people will never be able to unsubscribe from me. So that's awesome, right? No. People like to see that unsubscribe link. If you don't have an unsubscribe link, it's technically illegal in many countries. I think Canada, it's actually finable. In the U.S., I know there's some spam regulations that say it's a no-no. You don't want to get in legal trouble or fined or blacklisted. So keep your unsubscribe list there. And it's also, people like to see that. Even though nobody's going to read your privacy policy, just that visual of seeing it there. Same with the unsubscribe. It makes people comfortable, like, okay, I could unsubscribe if I want to, see how this template is. And then if the template's great, I'm not going to unsubscribe, or I'm going to forget to unsubscribe because I just clicked out and I forgot about this email. Cool. You got me for another month. So to move on from here, they talk about doing the email subject lines. I'll kind of go over that. I'll gloss over that. We already talked about that a lot today. If we go down here, so actual person as the center. Yeah, definitely don't do not reply or like company X or anything like that. First names would be good. Going down here, company branding, we spoke about that in depth. The personalized content, using the merge tags to actually put in people's first name. And then going down here, better than anything is probably segmenting, though. Segmenting per location, segmenting per interest, whether they're looking, if they sign up on a page about x-ray machines, for example, you want to send them stuff about x-ray machines and put them in that x-ray machine segment. Now, if they sign up for on the page, your website page, about CAT scans, then you want to send them stuff just about CAT scans because they're interested in CAT scans. So if you sold both those machines, you get a better conversion rate by sending people the right stuff and less unsubscribes. So you really want to do that. Right here they say 39% of email marketers who practice list segmentation see better open rates, while 28% have reduced opt-out and unsubscribe rates. On the other hand, companies that sent email to a single list had a lower average email click-through rate than those that segmented their overall email database into 2 to 6 lists. As you can imagine, in reaction to these results, 84% of business-to-business marketers use some kind of segment targeting in their email campaigns. Really interesting. And what's even more interesting, so this is their call to action. This is they gave us this PDF, right? I click on an email to download this PDF about an anatomy of a 5-star email because I was just interested in email marketing and in their email marketing segment. Now this is just a free offering, a free PDF for me. But what they did here, this text is a link, and I don't know if you can see the bottom there. Let me click on it and open it in a new tab. This right here is actually to an event. So this is an event registration. So what they're trying to do, they're actually a huge company making a mistake right here. They have a broken image I can see here. So even the big players make mistakes sometimes. Also, this is an older email. But what this is right here, it's register for a webinar. Register for a webinar. We have all this more advanced information for you if you register for this webinar. And then based off of this advanced information, they can add you to different segments. Chances are they'll probably add you to a lead nurturing. They're a larger company. They probably have like Infusionsoft or they have their own software for this. But right here, to sign up for our email newsletters, check the appropriate boxes. What these are segments. These are different segments with different subject lines and different content and images. So you can see, if you can figure out your competitor segments, and you can kind of put some of your segments or segments you'd like to do eventually in the future, you can kind of outline those and have goals associated with your segments and say, I want to get, 50 people this year signed up to my social media marketing segment. And then I want to get, my email marketing segment is a little bit less popular and doesn't bring me as much money, so I want to just get 5-10 people over the next year. That's my goal for that. And so to set goals for different segments and stuff like that can really help. But feel free to, when you create your email forms, create these checkboxes, your email signups, so you can segment your own traffic. Are you just interested in monthly industry news? And then you can send them that content, those blog posts you create every month, or maybe just some links of other industry news that isn't competitors, as well as some of your stuff. And just don't hard sell them if they sign up for a newsletter about news. They don't want to hear about your products first thing. They want to hear content. And then yeah, it's the same as far as whatever your segment is. You want to make sure that actually works. So this one, if you sign up for daily, they're going to send it to you daily. If you sign up here, they're going to send you just a digest of all their daily stuff in kind of a quick, easy to consume monthly setup. So see how they do that depending on what kind of frequency you want. It's pretty interesting, right? But just basically what they're doing is they're converting through the free offering via the email marketing template. They're now converting you for an event where after this, their sales, they get more information about you to better convert you in the future. And probably during the webinar, they're going to have somebody, like, hey, do you want to talk to somebody right now about your marketing? And then they're going to convert you through there, and that's a sale for them. So if you can kind of determine those pathways of the competitors and kind of find out your own kind of free offers, and then input some conversion elements like this into your free offer, that can be really powerful. I bet this works great for them. And then, yes, they also say segment by demographic data, location. We talked about that. And then you can also do age, gender, job function, especially if you're clothes or something gender specific. It makes sense to do that specifically by gender. That's what Nike does. Nike automatically segments by your gender. Job function, industry, seniority, etc. It can all offer insight on what kind of email content will be most interesting for your target audience. Personas, the best marketing strategies are built around detailed buyer personas that help inform their content development. So this is really interesting. So your buyer persona, you can base this off of your previous client data. My average client is a male from 30 to 45 who is in an executive level position at a business in generally this mile radius. So you can find out your buyer persona and then kind of work backwards from that and kind of put yourself in their shoes and see what would they actually be looking for in your content, in your email marketing, or wherever your landing page is from that call to action. To know who your customer is really important. And Google Analytics, they just put the universal analytics out. So Google Analytics can tell you the day, the ages, and also the gender and location of people that go to your website. So you can track the personas of visitors to your website through the Google Universal Analytics. So make sure to set that up in conjunction with your segmentation. And then purchase history. So if people have purchased certain products from them, maybe you have an updated version of the product you want to send them. You can recommend in secondary CTAs, recommend additional services or complementary products, add-ons to the product, add-on services. Lifestyle stage. Even if you don't have explicit personas, segment your list based on your customer purchase cycles. So of course, I have a e-commerce clothing store I work with, and they segment out people who, bought last Christmas as holiday shoppers. So those people will get, a loyalty coupon. Hey, thanks for shopping with us during your holidays last year. Here's a coupon for your holiday sales for your holiday shopping this year. We hope you find something you love. That kind of stuff works great. So if you can kind of track that customer purchase cycles, and they go into a little bit more depth there as far as lead nurturing and stuff like that, analyzing your sales funnel. And some that's a little bit more advanced that I won't go into that. You definitely spend a couple days on lead nurturing, if not weeks. And then they say here, look at your email analytics. MailChimp gives you their analytics, and then you also want to use that in conjunction.
Muted. Unmuted.
Hello? I hope everybody can hear me here. So that's pretty much it for now. Does anyone have any questions? Michael or Cinnamon? Or Steve, if you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope you got some stuff of value out of this. Of course, most of this stuff is on the website, and we'll also have copies of this, on the website. This email marketing webinar on the website. So yeah, feel free to ask me any further questions on the website, or Steve can help you out with anything as far as CMTC. And yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you next month during our next webinar.
Thank you so much. Very informative. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.